And can I too thank the member for Leicester South, a colleague in my area as well, but also a primary care colleague in this basis. And his powerful testimonies about patients and what they suffer is exactly why he's an asset to this House when he's presenting the information that we all need to hear when it comes to trying to debate health issues. The member, honourable member across the way, spoke about the Perth Royal and how fantastic they were. It's lovely to hear a success story. We don't hear enough of success stories in the NHS because actually the good news, despite what we hear in this place, is the NHS broadly does a fantastic job for many patients, and we should never forget that. He is what we want to see up and down the country when it comes to dealing with glaucoma. And the member for Strangford, he, if anything, is not tenacious and consistent, because I believe when I checked the records, it was him who tabled this debate about it a year ago in April, when he was again raising this cause to make sure that it is heard. And so he's a credit to his party and indeed the people he represents when it comes to raising health issues. And finally, my Scottish colleague across the way talked about NHS working groups, and I have worked in places where we've had pairs schemes, so primary eye care acute referral schemes that GPs can use. Patients love them, GPs love them, and I think the opticians and those who work in the services love them too, because it allows that better joined up care, which is where we all want to get to. And I think when it comes to dealing with glaucoma, glaucoma is actually a spectrum of conditions that comes together. We've got ocular hypertension, which accounts for about 3 to 5% of people in the UK over 40. We've got primary open angle glaucoma, affecting about 2% of people in the UK older than 40. But that actually, when you break it down, affects 1% of people aged 40, 3% of people aged 60, and about 8% of people aged 80. Now, with a growing population that's becoming more elderly, we can see why this is a problem. And then we have primary angle closure glaucoma, which is about 0.4%. There are some rarer ones as well to talk about, but I think for this point, the emphasis is here is that actually, as we've heard, it accounts for about 700,000 people who are going to potentially go blind. And as this is pointed out by the Association of Optometrists, and this is their call to the Minister, and I think it's a simple one, is the government considering the call to commission a national glaucoma pathway? And I'd ask him to think about that and potentially answer that question. Because when it does come to dealing with glaucoma, NICE guidance is actually very, very clear, and it states, if any of the following risk factors for glaucoma are present, consider advising people to have their eyes examined by an optometrist. If they're older age, people 60 years of age or older should examine every 2 years until they are 70 of age, when they should be examined annually. Free examination is available through the NHS. Family history of glaucoma, people older than 40 years of age who have first-degree relatives, parents, sibling or child with open-angle glaucoma should be examined annually. Free examination is available through the NHS. We've then got our ethnicity, people over the age of 40 who are black, African family origin should be examined, and there are certain people who are entitled to NHS-funded eye examinations by optometrists. These are people with the family history we've talked about, if you're 60 or over, in receipt of certain benefits, or have been advised to have that follow-up by an ophthalmologist, which is really important, as we've heard today when we're talking about awareness. Get your eyes checked, check your availability, and make sure if you're 60 or over, you understand you can get your eyes checked. But this debate was actually raised, Mr. Pritchard, at the end of April in 2024, just a few weeks before the election. And it's worth looking at what the Shadow Minister then said, who became the Health Minister. I quote, "I have a great deal of frustration with the government's approach to this issue. Given the statistics, I would like to see the Minister commit today to turbocharge access to ophthalmology services and make eye tests more commonplace for people who do not have routine tests for their eyes, but also to get people access to eye care services once conditions have been diagnosed." And he closed the debate, Chair, by saying, "We will support the government in the remaining weeks or months that they have to get this policy right. But mark my words, the next Labour government sees this as a priority and we will act." Well, now we're 1 year on into a government. It's worth checking the record to see that priority given. So forgive me for being a bit of a pedant. I went to check Hansard to see how many times this was mentioned. And there are 4 mentions of glaucoma since the election, and only 2 in the context of health. 1 by the member of South Leicester in June last month, and 1 by the member for Strangford when he was talking in a debate on rare retinal disease. Now, to me, this doesn't seem like it's in keeping with a priority, and I am being a little bit of a pedant. But I also looked through the 10-year plan again to see if there were mentions there. There are 2 mentions of eye care, one of ophthalmology and one of optometrists. Now, the Minister will argue this is a strategy document, but it does bode the question, what is the plan for glaucoma? Because the last government concentrated on several areas: early detection and community optometry through emphasising the importance of routine tests, £5 million annually for sight tests and optical vouchers, over 12.5 million NHS sight tests provided free of charge, a budget that was demand-led, not limited by volumes, and public encouraged to get tests through campaigns, social media, based advertising too. When it came to integrated care boards, there was expanding of local services for minor and urgent eye cares, pre- and post-cataract checks, glaucoma referral filtering, and then, of course, the post-COVID backlog recovery, which had £8 billion put to it. Now, I'm getting death stares from the chair, so I will move on to the main point and the questions that I have for the Minister.
Sorry, if the Shadow Minister could be brief. It's 5 minutes. I gave 6 to the Liberal Democrat spokesman. I'm going to give you, the Honourable Gentleman, another 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
Is there a plan on the strategy for a consideration of a pathway when it comes to glaucoma? Will the workforce be committed to as well? And the plan that, as it stands, as pointed out by the HSJ, has no delivery chapter. Where is the delivery chapter for the 10-year health plan? I'm grateful, Chair.
Thank you.